Let's talk about one of the most bizarre things to hit the media recently. Katy Perry went to space. Or, at least, that's what the headlines screamed. She and a crew of celebrities strapped into a Blue Origin capsule, blasted off, floated for a few minutes, kissed the edge of space, and came back as self-declared pioneers for womankind. They called it a space mission. The media called them astronauts. And Joe Rogan, he called it exactly what it was: cringe. Meanwhile, entrepreneur and podcaster Patrick Bet-David didn't just laugh, he went a step further and questioned whether they even really went to space at all. So today, we're diving into how two of the internet's most influential voices, Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David, completely dismantled this overhyped celebrity stunt. Let's get into it. First up, the context. Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos' pet project/space company, launched an all-female crew into suborbital space. The passengers included singer Katy Perry, journalist Gayle King, and Lauren Sanchez, who, by the way, is engaged to Bezos himself. The trip lasted a total of 11 minutes. Not hours, not days. 11 minutes. They reached the edge of space, barely crossing the Kármán line, which is generally considered the boundary of space, floated for a couple minutes, then came right back down. But based on the interviews, the social media posts, and the dramatic statements from the passengers, you'd think they just returned from a life-threatening voyage to Mars. Katy Perry kissed the ground when she got back. Literally, she dropped to her knees and pressed her lips to the landing pad like she was in a Christopher Nolan film. And that's not even the weirdest part. At one point, she described the experience as life-changing, claiming she felt connected to love, healed, and spiritually elevated. She even said she might finally get her ears pierced because, quote, "I feel brave now. We are not making this up." But it wasn't just Rogan rolling his eyes. Even other celebrities started mocking the mission. Olivia Wilde reposted the footage of Katy Perry kissing the ground with a sarcastic caption. Amy Schumer joked that she was added to the mission last minute, saying she got a text while on the subway and thought, why not? And then there was Martha Stewart, who posted a throwback clip of herself experiencing zero gravity in a Boeing 727, with a cheeky Katy Perry lyric added in. Yes, even Martha Stewart was trolling this. Now, let's shift gears, because this is where Patrick Bet-David comes in, and his take is a little more serious. While Rogan was laughing at the spectacle, Patrick was asking the uncomfortable questions, like, did this actually happen the way they said it did? Patrick Bet-David raised three major concerns. 1. Lack of interior footage. We live in a world where everything is filmed, yet somehow, for a mission carrying A-list celebrities and media figures, there was no consistent interior video of what happened during the flight. That's odd. 2. Staged-looking imagery. Patrick pointed to the strangely cinematic hand shots, the dramatic way the door opened, the pristine photo ops. He argued it felt more like a commercial than a real mission. 3. A misleading narrative. Patrick questioned whether this was truly a spaceflight or if it was a carefully branded experience designed to make it look like something bigger than it was. And he's not saying they didn't go to space, but he is saying the way it was presented was manipulative, overproduced, and possibly designed to fool the public into thinking it was more meaningful than it really was. Which leads to his second big point: stop calling it a mission. Let's be honest. This was a suborbital hop. It reached the Kármán line, the boundary of space, but didn't go into orbit. It didn't circle the Earth. It didn't conduct experiments. And it sure as hell wasn't dangerous. And yet the media treated it like the second coming of Apollo 11. Gayle King, one of the passengers, got offended when someone called it a ride. She insisted, with great drama, that it was a journey. No one calls it a ride when men go up, she declared. Okay, Gayle. But maybe the difference isn't gender. Maybe it's just the fact that this flight was remotely piloted, lasted 11 minutes, and involved zero actual astronaut training. And that brings us to Patrick Bet-David's third big critique. The media's priorities are totally out of whack. While this celebrity joyride received wall-to-wall coverage, real astronauts at NASA are out here conducting dangerous, multi-month missions, repairing telescopes, researching medical breakthroughs, and living in microgravity. But guess who gets the headlines? Not them. Instead, we get multiple segments on how Katy Perry felt emotionally transformed by a 10-minute float. Patrick pointed out how this kind of media attention devalues real space exploration. It shifts the public's focus away from science, discovery, and innovation, and redirects it to spectacle, luxury, and celebrity self-promotion. And let's not forget the economics here. This wasn't a trip earned through merit. It was a ticket purchased by connections. Most of the women on this flight were there because of personal ties to Bezos or Blue Origin. They didn't win a lottery. They weren't selected based on skill or contribution to science. They were handpicked from a list of rich, famous, media-savvy individuals. That's not representation, that's marketing. Now, here's the thing. Space tourism is going to be a big part of the future, and maybe, in time, it will become more accessible and meaningful. But what this flight represents is something different. It's about using the language of empowerment, exploration, and equality to mask what is essentially a PR stunt for billionaires. And both Rogan and Patrick Bet-David see through it. Rogan's laughing because the whole thing feels ridiculous and inflated. Patrick's concerned because he knows how media manipulation works. And this one was textbook. Let's not forget one final brutal detail. None of the passengers on this flight could even operate the capsule. It was fully remote controlled. Their training consisted of learning how to buckle their seatbelts and climb in and out of the spacecraft. That's not a mission, that's a billionaire Disneyland ride. And calling them astronauts? That's like calling someone who rode Space Mountain an engineer. So where does that leave us? Well, it raises some pretty serious questions. Is space now just another playground for the ultra-rich? Have we reached a point where selfies in space get more attention than science from space? And is the public being emotionally manipulated by flashy marketing dressed up as progress? Here's what we know for sure. Rogan called out the absurdity. Patrick Bet-David exposed the manufactured illusion. And the internet? It had a field day roasting the whole thing, because if there's one thing people hate, it's fake empowerment wrapped in billion-dollar packaging and sold as history. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe for more unfiltered commentary on the stories that actually matter. And drop a comment below. Was this trip a milestone for women or a cringy distraction from real space exploration? Until next time, keep your feet on the ground and your eyes on what's really going on.
I'm not even following you. I'm following fake PBD. And just, I'm going
That
around.
is so
you
funny.
see what my boss said? That's my guy.
That is
Yeah, it was
so
all Satan. What?
funny.
Anyway.